You know, there are an awful lot of big trees in our part of the world. This is just one of them. Welcome to Tree Doctors, everybody. We're going to go around and we're going to take a look at some big trees, and we're going to get some tips on how to take care of our trees from the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey. And it's all going to happen right after these messages on Tree Doctors.
The tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject a zap back in your tree's sap. Research has showed that ice-damaged trees are stressed, and stressed trees lead to insect and disease attack. Micro tree injection is the answer for your trees. Micro tree injection is a closed system, delivering the exact dose of systemic chemical directly to the sap stream of the tree. Once the problem is identified, the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject vitamins, minerals, or insecticide directly into the sap stream of your trees. This bypasses the roots and provides immediate results. Micro tree injection has been university tested and field proven for over 35 years. After the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service treat your trees, you receive a written 1-year guarantee. We won't treat a tree we don't think we can help. Let the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service put the zap back in your tree's sap.
Daddy phoned to tell us that old tree might have to come down. The one I had the tree house in and chased my wife around. He said a neighbor showed him where it was busting at the trunk. And if the snow got heavy, it could crack down to the stump. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Grandpa said they planted it when he was just 8 years old. His mama kept the clods broke up while his daddy dug the hole. I phoned up a friend of mine that lives in our hometown. He said he knew a tree doctor didn't like to cut trees down. The man went out and checked our tree and bolted it back together. He said it would last a lifetime, no matter what the weather. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Yes, we got to save our family tree.
Let's catch up with Ed Dickey, the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, right now on Tree Doctors.
This is an old swing set they put here, right under a lot of these old trees. And it looks like it's been here a long time. But they just put it here about a year or so ago. But it really fits the area. These old trees, and a lot of history here on this swing set, I imagine. But I know there's a lot of history on these trees. And we're going to be telling you today some of the history on a lot of these old trees we're going to be showing you. I'm here in Jonesboro, and here with me is Dal Conley. And Dal, you're with UAP. What's your position here with UAP?
Salesman for UAP.
Salesman for UAP. How long have you been salesman?
5 years here.
5 years. This old elm behind me, it's kind of seen some better days here in the past, hasn't it?
Yes, sir, it has. It has.
Dal is having me treat this tree. We're going to keep it alive a little bit longer. It's if people who aren't familiar, UAP handles chemicals, and I'd like to thank them while they're on the air for letting me use their water to. It mixes with our chemicals when we're treating trees. And but now, how old you've lived around here? How long you remember this tree being here?
I'm sure it's been here 30 or 40 years, easy.
Oh yeah, I'd bet more than that. Something like 60 or 70.
Probably.
It's a big old elm.
We tried to save it when we built the lot here.
Right, and doing a good job. And we talked about this tree 2 or 3 years ago. Remember that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And it's already budding out, and we're going to get a few more years out of it, I think, don't you?
I hope so. I got the best man in the country to take care of it.
I appreciate that. What I'll be putting down, because it gets plenty of chemical and fertilizer from other means here, is some vitamins and minerals and some enzymes to make the tree just kind of do a little better and make use of what it does have available instead of locking up. And you're in the chemical business, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, sir. Sure do.
All right, and also you've got a row of pine trees at your house that I'm going to be showing the viewers here later, and you're wanting me to take care of for you. What'd you notice about those pine trees?
The needles falling off just all the time, and the big, what do you call them? What would you call them? The branches breaking off for no reason.
Yeah, your larger size branches where your insects had cut them
Right.
off.
It's been doing it for 2 years, so it looks like.
Right, there's a row of about 50 of them. And what's the name of that community I'm gonna be out there later in?
Promised Land.
Promised Land. I love the name of that town. Years past, I worked out in Promised Land, and I guess that's where we're all heading, we hope. Ain't it? But I'm going to be talking about your pines out there later. And later on this year in the summer, we're going to come back here to this OM and just going to see how good it's still a-working.
I appreciate you taking care of it.
We're out here at Promised Land taking care of this row of pine trees for Dal Conley that you've seen earlier up at UAP. And we're putting a mild insecticide application on because he's got some moths working on his twigs and his branches, and it's a mild insecticide to handle that problem. And a lot of people don't know where Promised Land is. It's right in between Blyville and Armorel, kind of south of there, in a little community, old community. And in case you didn't know where Promised Land is, we work all over. This is Promised Land. When you're out looking around your property, keep an eye out for these weak places where the tree has cracked, and it's just a matter of time before it splits on open. We've got 2 in this tree. We've got one here and one right here. A simple bracing rod put through this will keep that from busting, so it don't disfigure the tree and you end up losing a whole tree over just for lack of not watching what's going on. I'm going to show you an upcoming segment of how simple it is to drill that and put one of those in yourself, and you'll be able to take these smaller type trees and fix them yourself without any expense much at all, and save a few trees. So just keep watching, you'll see that. I'm here in Leesville. With me is Ronnie Kennett, and Ronnie, you've had a little bit of a blackbird problem here, haven't you, in the past?
We've had probably the most serious blackbird problem I've seen ever in my lifetime here in this area.
Yes, sir. When you'd called me here a few weeks ago, and you'd got the CD disc and the cassette player and used it a little bit, didn't you?
We have used it every day, and right now I would say that there may be 10 to 15% of the birds coming back, but they always check us out before they come in, and when they come in, the noise excites them, and so we're not rid of them completely, but we have sure moved them out.
Yes, sir, and there's a lot of acreage here that surrounds you too. Your Mr. Adams' place here holds a lot of birds too, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and he has one of your tapes on a speaker that covers the whole area, so it sounds like a war zone here late in the afternoon.
Yes, sir, and we had visited earlier with his man, and some of the droppings over around them magnolias, they build up pretty bad, don't they?
They were very serious, and we became quite concerned about it, so we've been fighting it every day, trying to get them out of here.
Yes, sir. Well, you've been here you don't remember them ever being this bad, do you, in the past?
Never. No, not this bad. And, they tell me in Monette and other places they have them just as bad, so. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they are. And you and I kind of go back a long ways. I worked on your trees here about 25 years ago, didn't I?
You did, right?
And
maybe not 25 years. Let's don't get too old now.
okay, maybe 20. Well, whenever Bo was renovating that over there,
Right.
you probably know about the date better than I do.
Right.
But you got some old, neat trees around here, and we're going to walk around here and talk about some if you want to.
Very good.
We moved around here to the backyard, and Ronnie, these are some old, enormous, beautiful trees, aren't they?
This lot where the house is sitting, we built the house in 1990, and up to that time, there was a couple acres here that had never been touched by anything, you know, and so it was part of the old Blue Hoyt household, and his family came here in 1917. So no telling how old these trees are, but this lot was untouched until 1990.
That's great, and you've took care of them since then. Yeah, I know. So that sets a date. Your house was here when I worked on them, so it wasn't 25 years ago, was it?
No, it wasn't. Not quite. You might have worked on Mr. Adams, but the same thing there. Those trees have been here since the Hoyt family's been here.
Oh yeah, I remember that lane of trees.
Right.
I know. I imagine that's why he wanted a house where he put it over there, because of that lane of trees. But you've got this is one of the nicest oaks that you'll see around here, and you've got a number of them all scattered out through your yard, as well as some sycamores and others. And we'll move around here. And can you think of anything else that about these trees that's kind of unusual?
Well, no, not really. We were fortunate when we built the house. We didn't have to take out but one tree to get the house there, and it wasn't a real big tree, so we were fortunate there. We were able to keep every one of them.
Right. Well, you had mentioned off camera that you hadn't done anything to the trees since we treated them way back when you did the house. Is that right?
That's correct. We probably did that, 92, sometime like that.
Probably was.
Haven't done anything since then.
Seems like as I get older, the years just clock around.
I agree.
So if it was 92, that's good enough for me. That's 13 years ago then. Yeah, walking over the grounds here with you, Ronnie, brings back some old memories. I remember when we worked on these, some of these trees was pretty bad shape, wasn't it?
That's correct. And I guess that's first, well, it was first thing, the only time anything had ever been done to them. And some of them were in pretty bad shape, but they've been able to come on and survive, and we love the trees, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah. I can see where you put that nice little birdhouse up there. And what'd you say about that when that cat got
Well, I think when the cat made his presence known, the birds left.
Right. But your yard is full of old virgin timber, I call it. Never has been cut over. And on this same program, the people will see in Blyville Park. That's how that Walker Park got.
Right.
They left that.
I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. And their trees are just about on the same thing with these. Over 100 years old, quite a bit more than 100, I think. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, this area, you know, it goes back around the turn of the century. You know, there was a few small developments here. We remember Boynton up about 4 miles north of here. It was bigger than Leachville at the time, and it was called Boynton Crossover, and that's where the two railroad lines crossed over. And so these are old communities, and some of the communities that we remember, they're gone. You know, there's not a trace of them left. And these trees were, you know, I don't know telling how many years they go back.
Right, so there was evidently something went on here at one time, pretty heavy, wasn't it?
Yes. Now, you know, this is when they were able to build the levees and keep the floodwaters away from here, it turned into tremendous farming land. And since then, a lot of the trees have been cleared. So what you're looking at is probably virgin timber that hasn't been touched and is able to continue to grow, and the reason they're here, you know.
Well, that is neat. And I know Bo gets a lot of lookers. Mr. Adams does on his nice place over there, but you got some big nice trees right here next to the grounds too, don't you?
Well, it was all part of the same Hoyt family at one time, and they never touched it, so that's why we've got them.
Yeah. I'm just tickled you talked to me about them and let us see them and let me show the viewers at home the trees.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thanks for your bird call.
Yeah,
Right?
Roost Electric PA.
Absolutely, because we were in trouble, I'll tell you.
Well, I appreciate that plug there. Yeah, Ronnie and them had bought 4 of the PAs that they work themselves, and they work real good, don't they?
They absolutely do.
This is where a large oak tree got uprooted here a while back in a windstorm, and the people here called me and wanted to know about cabling it back up, pulling it back up because it was still intact partly across the ground. And I told the man that it was much better to go ahead and take it out, because once the tree gets root wadded like that, it's extremely difficult to get them to reattach themselves, because there's so much above ground and so little below ground. And even with a large array of cables, it's almost impossible to do. A lot of tests and studies have been done on that. So even though you see the tree attached by some roots and it's not fully pulled out of the ground, you cannot take a large tree like this, and this was something like a 35 inch diameter tree, which is quite big. And I told the people to go ahead and take it out, and they had the stump ground out, and they asked me about putting a new tree back where this tree was. And my instruction to them was to get rid of this mulch that's here before they put the tree in, because part of the reason that tree blew over and become weak, it had a borer problem that turned into a heart rot at the base, so it lost some of the root structures and it made it weak on one side. That's why it root wadded. So if they had the borer problem took care of a few years ago, they probably wouldn't have never lost this tree. But if they get rid of this, the reason you get rid of this mulch, because it's got the fungi in it from the root rot, and needless to say, you don't want to let that get into your newer tree. Plus, once you turn this and let it compost a little bit, the ultraviolet rays of the sun will kill any of the bad bacteria that's in here, and you can actually use this again with a little effect on the plant that you're putting on it, no negative effect anyway. So you can very well put you a tree back pretty well in the same hole if you grind the stump completely out like this, but I would still recommend go over a few feet, not being exactly the same hole. But that's what happens when one root wads and you want to put another one back. I'm here at the home of John Langston in Blytheville, and this used to be the EBG house, and back in early 1980 I treated every one of these large old trees here, and John called me in, and he's having me treat them again. And here with me is Jimmy D. You're the groundskeeper here for the state, aren't you, Jimmy?
Yes, sir, I am.
I noticed, what do you know about this old wagon wheel rim that's around this tree?
Sir, I just use it for leveling off some of the land. Sometimes I hook it on with a change and little hump of dirt. I just level it off with it, and that's about all, and put it back there for another time.
Well, that's making good use of our ancestor stuff, because that was an old wagon wheel thing.
It was.
Excuse me, Jimmy D, what do y'all do here with all the leaves you got going on piling up?
Right now, sir, we just getting them out the yard and putting them here for they to get soft and make mush, and use them for garden bed to keep grass from growing up through them.
Right, making use of the organic material in them and just letting them mulch down, is that right?
That's right, sir.
Well, good deal. I'm glad to see more of that goes on, because all the natural material in there goes back into the soil. And this just from one part of the yard, or this is the whole yard?
This is the whole yard, and from last year to a little bit, sir.
So it just keeps going right on down, doesn't it?
Right.
I like to show people how easy it is done. You just have one area that you keep from it, and you're far enough away from this large oak tree behind me. It's not behind us. It's not hurting anything either.
That's right, sir.
Have a lot of people ask me how to care for their little fruit trees, and several things have to be considered when we're talking about a fruit tree. Like right here, this tree is one-sided. It's growing that away, and you wonder why. Well, if you look around, you'll see it's shaded by two other trees, a hardwood there, an oak, and pines along this side, so it's trying to get its own light here. Also, it's got all these inside branches that if you ever been up in the fruit country, is what I call it, up Carbondale, Illinois, up in that direction, where they have apple trees, and you prune your trees. They're pruned drastically every year to make a crop. So down here, we need to at least take our branches that rub, what we call our cross branches, out, and give the tree a general shape. Like this side here is short, you could actually shorten this side by taking this long leader out right here, leaving these others, take these cross branches out. Your tree would be shorter, more uniform, easier to get the fruit off of, and you'd get more fruit. You can see where this is rubbed, it's shiny right there from these limbs when the wind blows. Get all that out of the way, so when the fruit does appear on your tree, it won't bruise when the wind blows. So it all goes with training and train your tree to be a good productive tree, and then keep it pruned properly, and above everything else, mulch and fertilize it properly. And you'll be glad you got a good little fruit tree, and it'll do good for you.
Hey, don't go anywhere. Tree Doctors will be right back right after these messages.
Hello, I'm Ed Dickey, the tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service. I'm coming to you from inside of a tree. We've been getting inside of trees for 35 years. We get to the root of the problem. Give us a call. We know how to save your trees. We put the chemical where it needs to be, inside your tree, taking care of insect and disease problems. We're often imitated, but never duplicated. We've been doing this 35 years. We know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service. It's not hard to see what killed these trees. It was boreworms. The borer is a hard insect to control, virtually untouched with spraying and other applications. But with systemic injection, when the borer eats the tree, the borer dies. Trees are dying all over, but we've got the cure. We give a 1-year guarantee when we treat your trees for the borers. We've been doing this 35 years and we know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees. It's time now for mailbag. That's when we talk about some of the questions that y'all sent us through the computer or we got through the mail. This one here is from Vernon in Batesville. Why should I use your company or one of your tree doctors to treat my trees when there's others that claim to do what you do? That's a good question, Vernon. The problem is the people who claim to do what we do, that's what they do. They just claim to do what we do. A lot of our products we use are protected with under the patent and trademark laws. We own the actual rights to them, and no other company can use those. They were developed by us. Some of them goes back to in the early 80s, the products that's being used in your trees. Also, you will find that we stay abreast with modern changing technology. And some of the ones that claim to do what we do, if you'll research what they're doing stuff that we quit doing several years ago. And there's a reason for that. There's a better way. And as better ways come to be, we use those better ways. So it's kind of like the old saying, you kind of get what you pay for. But in another aspect of that, our technology has got so good that we offer a 1-year guarantee when we treat the trees. Nobody, as far as I know, offers any kind of guarantee after treating your trees. We get 2 years worth of residual when we treat your trees out of killing the insect and stuff. That's why we can offer a 1-year guarantee. One of these days we'll probably be able to offer a 2-year guarantee as technology lets us. So the patented and trademark products that we use in what we do and the staying abreast of the technology is what gets you more bang for the buck. And also now, and we just started doing this here of late, we can actually treat every tree in your yard cheaper than we could do 2 or 3 trees a few years ago. So as opposed to going up, the prices have came down. And as the technology gets better, we can pass that savings right on to the customer. And I don't think you'll see that out of those other companies that claim that. This one's from Jane in Memphis, Tennessee. How far do you go when you treat the trees? I live in Memphis and was recently visiting in Jonesboro and seen your program one Sunday morning at 6. Please respond. All right, Jane, we treat a lot of trees in Memphis. In fact, I had a crew down there on Central here a while back doing some big oak trees. We work anywhere Channel 8 reaches, and we just go where the tree is. If you've got a problem and you need us, we'll get there within reason. To tell you the perimeters of where we work, it would be, we've treated the trees at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery in St. Louis. We treated, this past year, we was in Corinth, Mississippi, doing a park over there. So, you know, if the need's there and you've got the problem, we'll try to handle it for you.
You're going to start seeing a mailbag on our program every week now. We did a survey and we found out a lot of people want their questions answered that way. And in case your question don't get answered during the mailbag segment, you can go to dickeytree.com and email us there, or you can just send it by mail to the Tree Doctors at Post Office Box 790, Jonesboro, Arkansas 72401.
Let's go catch up with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey, right now on Tree Doctors.
It's easy to see what's wrong with this dogwood tree. It's the dogwood borer. You can see the holes in the branches where the bark has come off and your other defects in the trunk area. Tree will kind of tell you if you get to looking, you know, what's going on with it. This tree's had borers a good while. We're fixing to treat it and take care of that, but these limbs that's weakened from the borers, even though they're still alive, and you can see how the bark easily peels off of here. You've actually got about half of a branch there. So even saving this, you're still going to have a weak branch. So keep that in mind. Don't let it go too long before your dogwood tree gets treated, because it'll still break up. It'll still be weak, because always remember, trees don't heal. They compartmentalize. So that area that's weak in the tree is going to remain weak from now on. We're out front on the here at the Adams Estate, and here with me is Manuel. Manuel, tell me a little bit about what was going on with the birds here on these magnolias.
Well, this is one of the worst places where all those trees, birds were really roosting, and then we decided to put one of those big speakers out here and use your music out here, and that that tape you gave us, that CD, and boy, that really made the difference. That really took care of those birds from roosting out here.
You'd had a problem for a while, hadn't you? Because it built up to the point you had to put some lime down, didn't you?
Yeah, we put about lime twice already, and that really neutralized the odor. But that really worked. That music and all that really took care of the roosting, and it was bad. It was real bad. The smell was bad.
Yeah, what Manuel's referring to is our Roost Buster CD and our Roost Buster tape, and that's what he was playing. And it's just different sound effects. But how did the birds act when you turned loose on them?
The way they act, they start coming in, and then I turn that, I call it the music. We call it the music out here. I turn that CD on, and boy, they just take off. They just they won't come back. They haven't come back yet, and we haven't gotten rid of all of them yet, but we're getting there.
Well, you got how many acres is this?
90 acres.
90 acres. Okay, I was thinking it was 70. It's 90 acres. Well, it's a big place. It sure is. You know, this tree is kind of out of shape, and since I'm out of shape too, I figured me and it'll just fit together like a glove. And sure enough, I'm sitting right here in this spot, and it's a good little fit. So everybody has a match in this world, they say, and I guess this is my match tree that I've set down here. But a lot of these old majestic trees are worth looking at. Look at the different shapes, the different contours. There are no two alike. And they're all big, majestic, wonderful things. Take care of your trees. I try to.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for Tree Doctors today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, if you want to get all to Ed and ask him a question, it's pretty simple. You can go to dickeytree.com and email him from there, or you can call the number below. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Tree Doctors.
And as the technology gets better, we can pass that savings right on to the customer. See that out of those other companies that claim that. This one. again with a little effect on the plant that you're putting on it, no negative effect anyway. So you can very well put you a tree back pretty